Hello, this is Coach Mike. Gonna start out with my focus group watch list video. This is to kind of help you out with translating the focus group spreadsheet that I sent into trades that you react upon. Last week I was actually kind of disappointed with one thing in the chat room, and it was that too many people continued to focus on asking questions about focus group trades from the spreadsheet we didn't enter, not realizing that the answers to why we didn't enter them was in front of them the whole time, and all they had to do was go back and watch the video. So I am going to tell you, if you're one of the people that maybe didn't have the same results as the majority of the chat room, at least spend the time watching this video if you care about your money. And make sure you're watching all the videos and that you take the time to understand what dictates each of the potential trades mentioned on this spreadsheet. Understand that the potential trades are just that, stuff we might enter, but also that we might not. So I'm going to start out here with this weekly chart. The last webinar we did on Goldman Sachs, we talked about the weekly chart. We talked about the weekly swing points. So 2 weeks ago, big up week. Last week, big down week that came back and as of right now hasn't failed the last weekly swing high point of 188.07. And if you look at the current up move as it's gone around, we actually broke a swing point here. This candle retested it and then it moved upwards. Broke a swing point right here, had a big down candle that looked probably pretty bad, but it didn't fall below the prior weekly swing high point. Before moving again, broke the swing point here, came all the way back down, retested, but didn't fall below it. And through all of this, we still haven't gone below the weekly swing point. So it's going to be important for this first trade to understand that we've got to see potential below that weekly swing point before we ever consider the trade. And that's where I want to start out. You'll see the support I have listed, 176.91. That's the low close down here, 176.91. And you'll see my resistance is 188.41, even though right now we're above 188.41. That right there should tell you that we need to get below 188.41 before we ever consider an entry. The next part is the entry target, greater than 187.60. Now that's just a number I use to calculate the estimated price for the options. The real important thing is that if we get below that 188.07, and where did the 188.41 come from? If you notice when it made this pop up and it closed this candle right here, its close was 188.41. But if we get below the 188.07, we'll begin to look for that trade with a target sell point at 179.82. Now, because I think that this fall would be pretty quick and maybe just one more red candle like it was right here, I'd be looking at the January 2nd 182.50 puts. Probably only going to be able to buy one of them with my focus group account because my estimated purchase price is going to be about $1.95. Now, at the point where we'd hit our target, my estimate is that our profit would be $2.02. So just slightly over 100% gain if we're able to get in it on the fall. Remember, it's not something you just buy right now. It's got to get below the 188.07. And if we get a sell it at our target point, it should double our money up on that one. The next trade that I've got is also coming from this weekly chart, and that's if it holds that weekly swing point. If it holds that weekly swing point, we'd look for an upwards move, which our Fibonacci extensions say could go up to about 214.87. Because there's no March monthlies available, we'd have to go out to the April monthly, be looking at the 210 call. Now you're going to see the estimated buy price I have there is 265. In the case of this trade, to not break the rules of my position sizes, what I would be left to do if I find it suitable to make an entry in this trade is to put in my buy order at 250 as a maximum and hope I get filled. Otherwise, I might have to find other trades that become available along the way because I don't want to break my safe position size. And remember, this trade's going to be dependent on if it holds that 188.07 weekly swing point and makes a positive move. And like I just described you, on the weekly chart in the current up move, we have a swing point broken, retested, but it held. A swing point broken here, right here, was a big up candle and a down candle that did every bit of what just happened the last 2 weeks here, but it held the weekly swing point. Here we had several up candles, the big downfall, but it held the prior weekly swing point. And through all of this, we actually held that last weekly swing high. So there is a possibility that we start to make an up move. And I think we would want to take that longer swing if we get that up move. Even though I'm actually for that trade having to leave my own market sentiment out of it because I hate taking that long of a long trade because I don't really think the markets have that much juice left. But for this trading system, I have to leave that out. The next trade I have on here is for the December 26 190 calls. And as you can see on my 60-minute chart here in front of you, for those 190 calls, I've got to hold that 188.07. So let's just say, for example, tomorrow we open up, it starts falling a little bit, and it goes below 188.07. You scratch that trade off your list because it's no longer valid. But if we do start to make an up move, the December 26 190 calls, I'm expecting that we'd be able to get them at 250, so it'd be a single contract. It's not going to have as big of a reward side for us. My estimated reward would only be 95 cents, just shy of $1. So it won't be a super big reward to get it and sell at that target, but it's also something that I won't chase. I'll either be really comfortable with the entry or I'll just skip that trade and not make it. But it is one that's kind of identified itself here on the charts to me. It's just not necessarily one that I'm going to give a high priority to. And the final trade I have on the focus group spreadsheet is actually for the January 30th $200 calls. Now, the chart that you see here isn't the current day being shown. But I want you to look at this point in the chart and look at how with that big red down candle that going into the following day, you might not have said, hey, this could make an up move. But I want to show you what the next 2 days did, which said, you know, sometimes it can look bad, but still give a good trade because it moved nearly $10 in that move. So if I'm going to zoom this out and go back to the same point. Now that point I was showing you was back right over here on October 1st. Now, as you can see, we made a pretty significant down move. That's actually all the more reason that it maybe could make some bit of an up move. But you also look, if I ran, I'm just going to use my crosshair, across the lowest close of that consolidation period we had, we actually still didn't close below it. So if that 188.07 holds and we start to move upwards, we could move upwards into that range of $200.49. The reason I want to go with the January 30th and not the January 17th, which are half the price, is because earnings is January 16th after hours. And here was the last earnings. Literally on earnings day, even though it was the record earnings, best earnings ever for Goldman Sachs, it fell like $10. But after the market settled out at that point, it made a huge run based on those earnings. So I want to give myself the potential that even if it gets a little stupid around earnings time, that I could still get the trade off of the earnings if it were to happen like it did last time and actually the time before that too. So anywho, if I had to prioritize these trades right now, my first priority would be to see if we were going to open up under the weekly swing point to give priority to the January 2nd 182.50 puts. And if we were to make an up move from here, the second priority would be the 130 $200 calls. those would be the first two that I'd be looking at for the market open time frame to see exactly what it is I might want to do. So real simple for the focus group spreadsheet for this week. A little breakdown of all the trades. Remember, if we lose one of those listed support points or resistance points, for whether it's a long trade for the support points or a short trade for the resistance points, if we lose those points, that trade gets scratched off the list. So there's never a reason to ask me in the chat room or email me, what about this trade? If it gets scratched off the list, it's no longer something we're looking at. So scratch it off your list too. Look forward to trading with you in the chat room. Great job the last 2 weeks. We had some great gains in the focus group account. Not just mine, but the majority of the members saw really nice gains as well. So very proud of everybody. Let's keep up the good work. Let's keep displaying patience, because as you've seen just the past 2 weeks, you don't have to make a lot of trades to make a lot of return on your capital.